Hi, I'm Drex, and this is Introduction to Poi Spinning from Spinballs. In this video, we're going to learn about planes and plane control. Planes are one of the most fundamental concepts in poi spinning, and there's absolutely no trick you'll learn as long as you spin that doesn't involve them in some way, shape, or form. So what is a plane? You can think of planes as being broad, flat surfaces, like a piece of paper or a book. Where poi are involved, planes are either imaginary or implied. Think of it this way: if we take all of the points the poi and tether occupy as they complete a rotation, we get a more or less solid surface. This surface can then be oriented in many different ways relative to the body. While there are an infinite number of ways that we can orient a plane relative to the human body with poi, we tend to focus on 2 to 4 different orientations. Let's discuss them by imagining the poi plane as being like a book. When we place the book directly in front of ourselves in such a way that we can see the front or back cover of it, the corresponding plane is what we would refer to as wall plane. When we look straight down the spine of the book, the corresponding plane is what we would refer to as wheel plane. There's also a special case where the book is held between the hands that is sometimes referred to as either buzzsaw or inside plane. When we lay the book flat so that the front or back cover is facing the ceiling, we would refer to the corresponding plane as either horizontal or floor plane. So now that we know what the planes are and the different ones that we use with poi, why are they a big deal and why is there an entire video devoted to how to control them? Well, as a beginner, plane control is probably the single most important part of your technique to practice. Good plane control ensures control over where the poi swings, it prevents collisions, and it presents the best possible view of your poi pattern to your audience. With that in mind, here are 3 exercises you can use to begin to cultivate your plane control. First, given that the poi plane can be thought of as a flat surface like a wall, you can actually practice maintaining your plane by spinning your poi up against a real wall. Try holding your hand just a few inches from the wall and walking around it in an arc back and forth. If your plane starts to drift, you'll know it instantly because your poi will start to run into the wall. This will train your hand to maintain a constant vertical plane regardless of your body's orientation to it. It'll also allow you to easily switch between wall and wheel plane. Second, create a line on the ground with either a piece of tape or a marker and spin your poi directly above it, imagining that the line marks a plane that goes straight up to the ceiling. Now walk in a circle both forwards and backwards around that line. This is similar to the wall exercise, but now allows you to walk all the way around your plane. As you walk from one side of the plane to the other, you'll also be switching which side of your body the poi is on. You'll want to do this at the point when the poi is pointed as far away from your body as possible to minimize the chance that you'll hit yourself during this transition. Take note, when you switch which side of your body the poi plane is on, you're switching which direction the poi is turning. On one side, it'll look like it's turning clockwise, and on the other, spinning counterclockwise. This property is called plane facing, and it's very important for making turns. Our final exercise is one called globing, or orbing, and it's going to require a little bit of explanation. First, I'm going to introduce 2 new terms: native and non-native. Native refers to anything on the same side of the body as the poi. For example, if you're holding the poi in your right hand, then that hand would be the native hand. If I were holding that poi over on the left side of my body, then it would be on the non-native side of my body. Make sense? Go ahead and wrap your poi around your hand to shorten it so it's no longer than about elbow length. Now think of the plane of the poi as being something that you can aim, almost like an arrow. For example, I'm going to aim the plane of my poi at an imaginary point directly ahead of me. This puts me in wheel plane. Now I'm going to try aiming it at a point that's slightly off to my left towards my non-native side. Right there. Now I'm going to aim it directly at my non-native side and I'll wind up in wall plane. Now I'm going to try and point that plane back at my non-native shoulder so it should be turning slightly back at me. I'm going to continue this motion until the plane is pointing directly back at me in buzzsaw plane. I should be seeing the poi turning reverse so that it's coming down from above as it passes by my face. Now I'm going to cross the poi to the outside rather than the inside of my arm. To do that, I'm going to wait until it's pointed directly away from me, just like the exercise we did earlier with the line on the ground. When this happens, I'm going to turn the plane slightly so that the poi comes down on the outside rather than the inside of my arm. You'll note that I'm now back in wheel plane, but the poi is going backwards rather than forwards. To get back to forwards, I can take myself all the way back through this exercise again. First, I point my plane slightly off to my non-native side in wall plane, and then at my non-native shoulder before finally pointing it all the way back at me. It's now in buzzsaw plane turning forwards, so it's coming up past my chin as it passes by my face, and I'll switch it back to the outside of my arm by waiting until it's pointed as far away from me as possible, and then as it swings down, I pull it up past the outside of my shoulder. I'm back where I started now. I'd consider what we just did, going from forward in wheel plane to reverse in wheel plane and back again, to be one full rep of this exercise. You'll want to learn how to do this with both hands. Want to maximize the effectiveness of your practice? Try performing this exercise with both hands at the same time. Do 10 reps of this exercise every time you pick up a set of poi, and you'll achieve basic control of your planes in no time. You can think of exercises like the 3 we did in this video as being something like scales when learning music. The more you practice these, the easier time you'll have learning practically any other trick. Thanks so much for watching. Now show us what you can do. Share your photos and videos of your progress with Spinballs.